Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. What happens when a woman permanently inks her ex-boyfriend's name on her body as a joke and expects her husband to laugh it off? I thought the tattoo saying, "I love Marcus forever," was hilarious. A playful reminder of my wild past that would show everyone how confident and carefree I was. My husband saw it the night I came home from the tattoo parlor, and his face went completely blank. 3 months later, a stranger in a grey suit walked up to me at our daughter's school recital and handed me a thick envelope while every parent in the auditorium watched. Let me tell you how I got here. The night I came home with the tattoo, I was practically buzzing with excitement. I had spent the entire evening at the parlor with my best friend Jenna, and we had laughed until our sides hurt. The idea had started as a joke over brunch 3 weeks earlier. Wouldn't it be hilarious to get a tattoo of an ex's name? Not just any ex, but Marcus Lane, the photographer I dated in my wild 20s, the one who took me to underground concerts and taught me to ride a motorcycle. Jenna had dared me, and I never backed down from a dare. I pushed open the bedroom door around 11 p.m. Nathan was already in bed, reading some engineering journal like he always did. He looked up when I entered, and I could not contain my grin. I lifted the side of my shirt to reveal the fresh bandage on my ribcage. I peeled back the plastic wrap carefully, wincing slightly at the tenderness. There it was, in ornate script with little decorative flourishes. "I love Marcus forever." Nathan stared. Just stared. His face went completely blank, like someone had unplugged him. I laughed, expecting him to join in. He did not. He asked why I would do this. His voice was quiet, almost confused. I told him it was just a joke, just ink, just a funny reminder of my past. I explained that it showed I was confident enough in our marriage to laugh about old relationships. I said it was art, self-expression, a conversation starter. He asked if I had considered how this looked. He asked if I had thought about how it made him feel. I rolled my eyes. I told him he was being insecure. I said I thought he would find it funny, that he would appreciate my sense of humor. I asked him why he was being so serious about something so silly. He did not say anything else. He just looked at me for a long moment, then returned to his journal. But I could see his hands shaking slightly as he held the pages. I changed into my pajamas, chattering about how the tattoo artist had been impressed with my pain tolerance, how Jenna had filmed the whole thing for social media, how everyone at the parlor thought it was hilarious and bold. Nathan did not respond. He turned off his lamp, rolled over, and faced the wall. I lay there in the dark, feeling the first stirrings of irritation. Why was he ruining my moment? The next morning, I woke to an empty bed. I found Nathan in the kitchen, making breakfast for our daughter Chloe. She sat at the table eating cereal, her legs swinging as she hummed a song from school. She looked up when I entered and asked why Daddy had slept in the guest room. I felt a flash of anger at Nathan for being so obvious, but I kept my voice light. I told her Daddy had trouble sleeping and did not want to keep me awake with his tossing and turning. Chloe accepted this without question. Nathan poured coffee in silence, his movements mechanical. He did not look at me. I tried to engage him. I pulled out my phone and showed him a post Jenna had made, a photo of me at the parlor, laughing, with the caption, "Iconic energy only." It had already gotten 200 likes. Nathan glanced at the screen, then walked out of the kitchen without a word. I sat there, coffee cup in hand, feeling the rejection like a slap. Chloe asked if Daddy was mad. I told her no, he was just tired from work, but I knew that was not true. Later that morning, I scrolled through the comments on Jenna's post. Most were positive, fire emojis, laughing faces, friends calling me savage and fearless. A few were more cautious. One college acquaintance had written, "Does your husband know?" I deleted it. Around midday, I went into the office. I worked as a marketing coordinator at a mid-sized tech firm, and I had always prided myself on being the fun one, the one who brought energy to the team. I decided to share my bold new choice. I walked over to Brian Torres's desk. He was 29, always game for a laugh, always ready with some irreverent comment. I lifted my shirt slightly, just enough to show the tattoo on my ribcage. Brian's eyes widened, then he burst out laughing. He called it savage, said it was the most alpha move he had ever seen. Another colleague, a younger woman named Priya, leaned over to look. She smiled uncertainly, but said it was definitely unique. An older colleague, Margaret, glanced over from her cubicle. Her expression hardened. She shook her head slightly and returned to her work without comment. I felt validated by Brian's reaction. I texted Jenna immediately. Work loves it. As I walked back to my desk, my phone buzzed with a missed call notification. No caller ID. I frowned, dismissed it, and got back to work. That evening, I returned home to find Nathan making dinner. Chloe was in the living room watching cartoons. The house felt cold despite the warmth outside. I asked Nathan why he was being so distant. He said he needed time to think. I felt my irritation spike. I accused him of punishing me for being myself. I told him he was being dramatic, that he was making a huge deal out of something that was meant to be fun. He turned to face me, his expression tired. He said he was trying to understand why his feelings did not matter to me. That stopped me cold for a second, but then the defensiveness kicked in. I told him his feelings did matter, but he was overreacting. I said he was acting like I had cheated on him, when all I had done was get some ink. He asked if I realized that the ink said I loved another man. Forever. I waved him off. I said it was ironic, that anyone with half a brain could see it was a joke. He said nothing else. He plated the food and called Chloe for dinner. We ate in silence. Chloe tried to fill the quiet with stories from school, and I responded enthusiastically, trying to show Nathan that everything was fine. But he barely touched his food. That night, he slept in the guest room again. I texted Jenna, venting about how Nathan was being a baby about the whole thing. She replied with supportive messages, telling me to ignore him, that he would get over it. I fell asleep feeling justified. I had done nothing wrong. It was my body, my choice. He would come around, but as I drifted off, I heard a faint sound from downstairs. Nathan's voice, low and muted, speaking to someone on the phone. I considered getting up to listen, but exhaustion pulled me under. The next morning, I woke to the sound of his phone buzzing on the nightstand. I glanced at the screen. A calendar reminder. Downtown 3:12 p.m. No other details, no location name, no contact. I heard his footsteps on the stairs. I quickly looked away, pretending I had not seen anything. When he entered to grab his phone, I asked casually what the reminder was for. He said it was just an appointment, work-related. I did not believe him, but I did not push. Not yet. By the weekend, the tattoo had become my identity online. Jenna organized what she called a tattoo reveal party at a rooftop bar downtown. She invited a dozen of our mutual friends, people from college, former co-workers, a few influencers she knew from the local creative scene. I wore a crop top that showed off the tattoo perfectly. Every time someone new arrived, they asked to see it, and I obliged with a dramatic flourish, lifting my shirt just enough. The reactions were exactly what I wanted. Shock, laughter, admiration for my boldness. Jenna made a toast. She raised her glass and announced that I was living authentically, refusing to be constrained by outdated expectations. Everyone cheered. I felt seen, celebrated, validated. I posted photos throughout the night. By the time the party ended, I had over 600 likes and dozens of comments. Most were positive. A few were questioning. I ignored those. What I did not ignore was the comment from Marcus Lane, the man whose name was now permanently etched into my skin. He had found my post, probably through Jenna's tags, and left a comment, Still got that wild side, huh? Followed by a winking emoji. My heart skipped. I told myself it was just nostalgia, just the thrill of being noticed by someone from my past. I replied, keeping it light, "You know me, never boring." He responded within minutes. Clearly, "We should catch up sometime." I stared at those words for longer than I should have. Then I typed, "Maybe," and put my phone away. Jenna saw the exchange and grinned. She said Marcus always had a thing for me. I laughed it off, but the validation felt intoxicating. Nathan did not come to the party. I had not invited him. I told myself he would not have wanted to come anyway. When I got home that night, he was asleep in the guest room. I lay in our bed alone, scrolling through the photos, refreshing the like count, basking in the attention. Around midnight, a DM popped up. Marcus again. "Seriously though, coffee? Would be good to catch up." I typed, "We'll see," and finally put the phone down. But I could not sleep. I kept thinking about the way Marcus had looked at me all those years ago, the way he made me feel spontaneous and alive. Nathan had never made me feel that way. Nathan was safe, reliable, predictable. He was comfort, not excitement. The next evening was Nathan's birthday dinner. His mother, Patricia, had organized it. She always did. The whole family gathered at a long table in a family restaurant. Patricia, Nathan's father, George, his younger brother, Derek, and my own parents, Robert and Linda. Chloe sat between me and Nathan, happily coloring on the paper menu. The adults made small talk. Patricia asked about our week. I decided this was the perfect moment to share my big news. I pulled out my phone and showed Patricia the photos from the tattoo parlor. I explained the concept, the artistry, the irony of it all. The table went silent. Patricia's smile froze. She asked slowly why I would do something like this. I felt the first prickle of defensiveness. I said it was my body and my choice. I explained that it was art, that it was a statement about confidence and authenticity. My father Robert stared at me, his jaw tight. He asked if I had any idea how disrespectful this was to Nathan. I felt heat rising in my chest. I said I had not done anything to Nathan. It was just a tattoo. Nathan's brother Derek looked between me and Nathan, who was staring at his plate, saying nothing. Derek said I had made Nathan's birthday about myself. I snapped. I told them they were all judging me unfairly, that they were too old-fashioned to understand modern self-expression. Nathan's mother looked at me with an expression I had never seen before. Cold, disappointed. She said nothing. My own mother, Linda, tried to change the subject. She asked Chloe about school. Chloe, sensing the tension, answered quietly. My father muttered something under his breath about shame and disrespect. I heard it. I pushed my chair back and told everyone I needed air. I walked outside to the parking lot, furious. I called Jenna. She answered on the second ring. I vented about how everyone at the dinner was attacking me, how they were all acting like I had committed some unforgivable sin. Jenna reassured me. She said they were from a different generation, that they would never understand. She told me to hold my ground. I stayed outside for 10 minutes, scrolling through more supportive comments on my social media. By the time I returned, dessert had been served. Nathan was helping Chloe with a piece of cake. The adults were making strained conversation. As we loaded Chloe into the car afterward, Patricia approached Nathan. I watched from a distance as she took his hand, spoke quietly to him. He nodded. She squeezed his hand, her eyes glistening. When I reached the car, I accused Patricia of turning Nathan against me. Nathan said nothing. He started the engine and drove home in silence. Chloe fell asleep in the back seat. That night, after putting Chloe to bed, I found Nathan in the home office. He was sitting at the desk, his laptop open. I could see a spreadsheet on the screen, columns with dates, initials I did not recognize, times. I walked in without knocking and asked what he was working on. He minimized the screen immediately. He said it was work-related, nothing I needed to worry about. I felt a surge of suspicion. I looked around the office. On the shelf, I noticed a thin binder labeled Utilities. It looked thicker than the usual bills. I asked what was in it. He said just household paperwork. He suggested I get some sleep. I left, but I could not shake the feeling that something was happening behind my back. At 2 a.m, I woke to the sound of the printer humming downstairs. I lay there, listening, debating whether to investigate, but exhaustion won. I fell back asleep. The next morning, I watched from the bedroom window as Nathan loaded his car. On the passenger seat, clearly visible, was a labeled folder, Household. He drove off without saying goodbye. I spent the day uneasy, unable to focus on work. When he returned that evening, I asked where he had been. He said he had errands to run. That was all. By the following weekend, the cracks in my life were becoming harder to ignore. I told myself everything was fine, that Nathan was just going through a phase, that my family would come around once they saw how happy I was. But the evidence suggested otherwise. On Saturday morning, Nathan and I went grocery shopping together. Chloe stayed home with a babysitter. We moved through the aisles in silence, tossing items into the cart without discussion. At the checkout, we ran into Mrs. Alvarez, a neighbor from 3 houses down. She was friendly, always waving when we passed on the street. She greeted us warmly, then her eyes flicked to me, lingering. She mentioned, carefully, that she had seen some photos online. She asked if everything was all right at home. I felt my defenses snap into place. I told her everything was perfect, that Nathan and I were doing great. She glanced at Nathan, who was loading bags into the cart, his face blank. She said she hoped so, that she was just checking in. Nathan finished loading, then walked to the car without waiting for me. I stood there, humiliated, as Mrs. Alvarez offered a tight smile and pushed her cart away. In the car, I exploded. I accused Nathan of making me look bad by being so distant in public. He said he was tired. I demanded that he act normal. I told him he needed to smile, hold my hand, show people we were fine. He asked what normal meant to me. I said normal meant not making me look like a villain. He replied that he could not pretend everything was fine when it was not. I threatened to leave if he kept punishing me. He said nothing. He drove home, unloaded the groceries, and put everything away with methodical precision. That evening, I went to the gym. It was a small community fitness center, the kind where everyone knew everyone. In the locker room afterward, a woman named Kelly approached me. She was friendly, mid-30s, always chatting with people between sets. She asked about the tattoo. She said she had seen it on social media and thought it was bold. I preened a little. I told her it was a statement, a refusal to conform. She asked if my husband was okay with it. I hesitated, then lied. I said Nathan was initially surprised but had come around. I said he understood it was just a joke. Kelly's expression said she did not believe me. She nodded slowly, wished me a good evening, and walked away. As I drove home, I realized something. Nathan had not been home before me in 3 weeks. Every night, I arrived to an empty house or found him already shut away in the office. I texted him, asking where he was. His reply came 5 minutes later. Working late. On Saturday afternoon, I took Chloe to the park. She ran ahead to the swings, and I sat on a bench nearby, scrolling through my phone. The likes on my tattoo posts had plateaued. The initial rush of validation was fading. Chloe ran back to me, breathless, and asked a question that cut through my distraction. She asked if Mommy still loved Daddy. I stared at her, startled. I told her of course I did. I asked why she would even wonder. She said Daddy was always sad now. She said he told her everything would be okay, that changes were coming. I felt a chill run through me. I asked her what changes. She shrugged. She said Daddy did not say, just that things would be different soon. Before I could press further, Nathan arrived. He had come to pick Chloe up for what he called father-daughter time. Chloe ran to him, and he lifted her into a hug. I approached, tried to ask him about what Chloe had said. His phone was in his hand, and I glimpsed the screen, a red circle around a date 2 weeks away. No label, no event name, just a circle. I asked what it was. He said it was a work deadline, nothing important. I did not believe him. That evening, I called my mother. I complained about Nathan freezing me out, about how everyone was treating me like I had committed a crime. My mother asked, gently, if I had considered removing the tattoo. I was offended. I told her I would not erase myself to please other people. She said it was not about erasing myself. It was about respecting my marriage. I hung up on her. Later that night, I tried to enter the guest room where Nathan had been sleeping. The desk drawer was locked. I tried the handle, felt it resist. I asked Nathan what he was hiding. He said they were personal documents, nothing I needed to see. I accused him of being secretive, of shutting me out. He said he was entitled to privacy, just as I had been entitled to get the tattoo without consulting him. I had no response to that. The next day, Nathan informed me he was taking Chloe to visit his mother for the weekend. Just the two of them. I was not invited. I asked why I was being excluded. He said Patricia had requested time with Chloe, and he thought it was a good idea. I realized, with growing unease, that I was being systematically shut out of his family. On the kitchen counter, I noticed a small USB drive taped under a folder labeled Taxes. I tried to open the folder on Nathan's laptop later that day, but it was password protected. I felt the walls closing in. The following Tuesday was Chloe's dance recital rehearsal at the community centre. I drove her there after work, expecting a normal evening. What I walked into was a nightmare. Patricia was already there, sitting in the folding chairs set up for parents. Nathan stood beside her, talking quietly. When I approached with Chloe, Patricia looked up. Her expression was cold. She greeted Chloe warmly, told her she was excited to see her dance. Then she looked past me as if I were not there. I asked if I could sit with them. Patricia said she was there to support Chloe, not to socialize with me. I felt the sting of rejection, public and undeniable. Derek arrived moments later. He hugged Nathan, ruffled Chloe's hair, and gave me a curt nod. That was it. No hug, no warmth. Just a nod. Chloe went to join her dance group. I sat alone, 3 chairs away from Nathan and his family. Other parents filtered in. I saw Mrs. Alvarez. I saw Kelly from the gym. I saw a woman I recognized from Chloe's school, a friend of Patricia's. They all looked at me. Some whispered to their companions. I felt the weight of judgment pressing down. During a break, I saw Nathan speaking with the dance instructor. He handed her a piece of paper. I craned my neck to see. The word emergency was visible at the top, but I could not read the rest. After rehearsal, I confronted Nathan in the parking lot. I demanded to know what he was planning. He said he was ensuring Chloe's needs were met, no matter what happened. I asked what he meant by that. He said I would find out when the time was right. I accused him of scheming, of plotting behind my back. He said he was protecting his daughter. Derek, who had been loading his car nearby, overheard. He walked over and told me I had brought all of this on myself. I called him a traitor. He shook his head and walked away. The next morning, I woke to find Nathan already gone. It was 6:30 in the morning. On the kitchen counter was a sticky note. Meeting, back by noon. I searched the garage. On a high shelf, I saw a filing box labeled Home and another labeled Auto. I could not reach them without a ladder. I texted Nathan, demanding to know where he was. He did not respond for 2 hours. When he finally replied, he wrote, "Appointment. Nothing to worry about." I was worried. That afternoon, I scrolled through my social media, feeling increasingly isolated. Then I saw it, another message from Marcus. "Still waiting on that catch-up? You free this week?" I stared at the message. I thought about how Nathan had shut me out, how his entire family had turned against me, how my own parents had sided with him. I felt a surge of defiance. If everyone thought I was the villain, maybe I should act like one. I typed, "Let's meet for coffee. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Marcus replied immediately, "Perfect. I'll send you the address." I deleted the thread and put my phone away, my heart pounding. That evening, Nathan returned home. I found him in the office again, this time with a binder labeled "Bank" open on the desk. Inside were statements, sections highlighted in yellow. I saw transfers to an account I did not recognize. I confronted him. I asked what the highlighted sections were. He said he was organizing our finances, making sure bills were paid and obligations were met. I accused him of hiding money. He said he was ensuring financial stability for Chloe, regardless of what happened to us. I did not understand. Or maybe I did not want to. That night, I told Nathan I was meeting an old friend for coffee the next day. He asked who. I said it was none of his business. He looked at me for a long moment, then said he hoped I made good choices. His calm tone enraged me more than yelling ever could. I called him passive-aggressive. He said he was simply stating a fact. I went to bed alone, furious and unsettled. The next day, I met Marcus at a trendy coffee shop downtown. He looked older, but still had that easy confidence, that mischievous smile. He complimented the tattoo immediately. He said it was iconic, that he was flattered. I laughed, feeling seen for the first time in weeks. We talked for over an hour. He told me about his photography projects, his travels, his refusal to settle down. He said I had always been the one who matched his energy. At one point, he reached across the table and touched my hand. It was brief, casual, but it sent electricity through me. When I left, I felt exhilarated. I posted a vague story on social media. Good conversations with good people. I did not see Nathan screenshot it. I did not see him save it to a folder on his phone, labeled with the date. But he did. The next Monday, I was called into the HR office. Carol Simmons, the HR manager, asked me to sit down. Her tone was professional but serious. She told me the company had received inquiries regarding my social media activity. I felt my stomach drop. I asked what kind of inquiries. She said she could not disclose the source, but she wanted to advise me to be mindful of what I shared online, especially content that could be perceived as impacting family matters or professional reputation. I became defensive immediately. I told her my personal life was my own business. Carol said she was not accusing me of anything. She was simply offering guidance. I left the office shaken, but determined not to show it. I texted Jenna, who told me HR was overreacting, that they had no right to police my personal accounts, but doubt had crept in. That evening, I confronted Nathan. I accused him of contacting my employer. He said he had not contacted anyone at my company. I did not believe him. I demanded to know what he was planning. He said he was making sure everything was handled properly, through the right channels. I asked what that meant. He said I would understand soon. The non-answer terrified me. Later that night, I watched Nathan prepare Chloe's lunch for the next day. He packed her favorite snacks, wrote a note on a napkin, and tucked it into the lunchbox. I saw the words, "Daddy loves you." Something about the finality of that note made my chest tighten. I asked if he was planning to leave. He said he was planning to do what was right for Chloe. I asked if that included leaving me. He said it included protecting Chloe from chaos and instability. I called him cruel. He did not respond. He finished packing the lunch, kissed Chloe goodnight, and went to the guest room. I could not sleep that night. I reviewed everything, the tattoo, the reactions, Nathan's distance, the locked drawers, the cryptic appointments. I tried to convince myself he was bluffing, that he would never actually leave. But deep down, I knew something was coming. On Saturday morning, I followed Nathan and Chloe to the park. I confronted him while Chloe played on the swings. I demanded answers. I told him he was being unfair, that he was shutting me out without explanation. He turned to face me, his expression calm but resolute. He said he had tried to communicate. He had tried to express his feelings. He had tried to salvage basic respect. He said I had dismissed him at every turn. He said he would no longer beg for my consideration. He said he would handle this through proper channels, the way adults handle irreconcilable differences. I asked if he meant divorce. He said he meant resolution. I called him dramatic, told him he was overreacting. He walked back to Chloe without another word. That afternoon, I noticed a new key on Nathan's keyring. It was small, silver, unfamiliar. I asked what it was for. He said it was for a storage unit. I asked what he was storing. He said items he wanted to keep safe. I did not push further. I was too afraid of the answer. On Sunday evening, Nathan's phone alarm went off. The label read, "Paper drop." I asked what it meant. He dismissed the alarm and said it was a reminder for a personal task. The vagueness was maddening. That night, Nathan told me I should attend Chloe's spring recital next week. He said it was important for Chloe to see both her parents there. I asked why he was being so formal about it. He said he was simply stating a fact. He left the room, and I sat alone in the kitchen, feeling a cold certainty settling over me. Something was coming, and I had no idea how to stop it. The evening of Chloe's spring recital arrived. I dressed carefully, wanting to project normalcy, confidence. I told myself tonight would be fine. Nathan was being dramatic. Everything would blow over. I arrived at the elementary school auditorium just after 6. Parents were already gathered in the lobby, chatting, taking photos. The air smelled like popcorn from the concession stand the PTA had set up. I scanned the room and saw Nathan immediately. He was already seated inside, 3 rows from the front. Patricia sat beside him, and Derek was on his other side. They were talking quietly, an insular unit. I approached with a smile I did not feel. Nathan saw me coming. He gestured to an empty seat 2 rows behind them. I felt the sting but said nothing. I sat where he indicated. Chloe appeared from backstage, peeking through the curtain. She spotted us and waved. I waved back enthusiastically. Patricia waved too, blowing Chloe a kiss. Other parents filed in. I recognized faces. Mrs. Alvarez, Kelly from the gym, several mothers from Chloe's class. They offered tight smiles, polite nods. No one sat near me. The lights dimmed. The principal welcomed everyone. The recital began. Chloe's class performed third. She wore a pink tutu and had her hair in a tight bun. She danced beautifully, hitting every mark, her face serious with concentration. I felt a swell of pride. Nathan recorded the performance on his phone. Patricia dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. When Chloe's number ended, the audience applauded. She beamed, curtsied, and ran backstage. Intermission was called. I stood and made my way to the lobby, needing water, needing air. The lobby was crowded. Parents milled around the concession stand. Children ran between them. I was reaching for a water bottle when I heard a voice behind me. "Excuse me, are you Isolde Marie Thorne?" I turned. A man in a grey suit stood there, mid-40s, professional, expressionless. He held a manila envelope. I said yes, confused. He handed me the envelope. "You've been served. Have a good evening." He walked away before I could react. The lobby went silent. Every parent nearby turned to stare. My hand shook as I opened the envelope. Inside were papers, official and heavy. The words blurred as I tried to focus. Petition for dissolution of marriage. I flipped through the pages. Temporary custody schedule. Nathan listed as primary physical custodian pending full hearing. Financial injunctions. Joint accounts frozen. A court date circled in red ink. 3 weeks away. My vision tunneled. I looked up. Nathan stood in the doorway between the lobby and the auditorium. He was watching me, his face calm, his eyes steady. Patricia stood beside him, her hand on his arm. Derek was just behind them. I stumbled toward them, clutching the papers. I demanded an explanation. My voice was too loud. Parents stepped back, pulling their children with them. Nathan spoke clearly, calmly. He said he had filed for divorce because I had shown no respect for our marriage, no regard for Chloe's well-being, and no willingness to change. He said he had tried to communicate. I had refused to listen. He said he had documented everything. The tattoo, my dismissal of his feelings, the social media posts, the meeting with Marcus. He said his attorney had compiled it all. He said he was protecting Chloe from further instability. I called him vindictive. I said he was doing this to hurt me. He said he was doing this to save our daughter from watching her parents destroy each other. Mrs. Alvarez ushered her daughter toward the auditorium doors. Kelly turned away, whispering to another mother. A woman I did not know told her son not to stare. I was being watched, judged, dissected in real time. The lobby PA system announced that the recital was resuming. I stumbled back to my seat, the envelope clutched in my hands. I could not focus. The stage was a blur. Music played. Children danced. Parents applauded. Chloe performed her final number. She was perfect. The audience stood, clapping. Nathan stood, clapping louder than anyone. Chloe ran out from backstage and into his arms. He lifted her, told her she was amazing. I stood too, tried to approach. Chloe hugged me briefly, but her attention stayed on Nathan. She asked if he saw her spin. He said he saw everything, that she was the best dancer there. Patricia and Derek congratulated Chloe. They formed a circle around her, warm and loving. I stood on the outside, papers in hand, invisible. Parents began filing out. I followed Nathan to the parking lot. I was desperate now, my voice cracking. I demanded to know how he could do this in public, in front of everyone. He stopped, turned to face me. His voice was even, measured. He said I had made our private pain public when I posted the tattoo. I had dismissed his feelings publicly. I had humiliated him in front of our families. He said he chose this moment so I would understand what public consequence felt like. He said his attorney had documented everything, the tattoo photos, the posts, the comments from Marcus. My refusal to consider how my actions affected Chloe. He said the temporary custody order was in effect immediately. Chloe would live primarily with him until the hearing. I would have supervised visitation. He said he hoped I finally understood that actions have consequences. Patricia opened the car door for Chloe. Derek gave Nathan's shoulder a supportive squeeze. Nathan buckled Chloe into her car seat, kissed her forehead, and closed the door gently. He looked at me one last time. There was no anger in his eyes, just finality. He got in the car and drove away. Patricia and Derek followed in their own vehicles. I stood alone in the parking lot under the fluorescent lights, parents streaming past me, avoiding eye contact. I walked to my car in a daze. I sat in the driver's seat, engine off, staring at the papers in my lap. The tattoo on my ribcage suddenly felt like it was burning. I adjusted my shirt, caught a glimpse of it in the rearview mirror. I love Marcus forever. It looked hideous now, childish, cruel. I thought about Marcus. I had not heard from him since our coffee meeting. He had gotten what he wanted, validation, a flirtation, proof he still had power. He did not care about me. I thought about Nathan, about the quiet way he had endured my mockery, my dismissals, my public humiliation of him, about the methodical way he had prepared for this moment. I thought about Chloe, about the confusion in her eyes, the questions she had asked, about how I had prioritized my ego over her stability. I saw parents walking to their cars, children in tow, families intact. I saw Mrs. Alvarez hold her daughter's hand. I saw Kelly hug her son. I was utterly alone. I pulled out my phone and texted Jenna. He actually did it. The message showed as delivered. No reply came. Minutes passed. No reply. I realized Jenna had probably seen the scene in the lobby. Everyone had, and no one was coming to my defense. I looked at the court date on the papers. 3 weeks. I had 3 weeks to find an attorney, to prepare, to face a judge who would decide if I was fit to have custody of my own daughter. I looked at the tattoo again in the mirror. The ink was permanent, just like the damage I had done. I sat there as the parking lot emptied, as the lights in the school turned off one by one, as the reality of what I had lost crashed down around me. The tattoo had been a joke, but no one was laughing. Least of all me. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.